What the is leadership? Thought-provoking conversations with expert leadership scholars, exceptional leadership practitioners, and other extraordinary individuals. Good day. I'm Jonathan Kroll, and I'm the Executive Director and a Master Facilitator of Leadership Trainer, and I am so excited for this conversation with Raju Kansagra, a great friend and an entrepreneur, a business leader, business owner, in New Jersey in multiple industries. And so, Raju, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Johnny. Thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to this dialogue.
Yes, me. And we start this conversation the same way every time. What the is leadership?
That's a difficult question for me to answer because I don't feel like I am, there's certainly no labels I have in my life as a leader, but I see leadership more as an action, a personality trait. And that's where I think I've learned very much this year that that's ingrained within me in the different roles that I play in my life. So I look forward to getting into that.
So we'll talk more about that. How does it show up? What does this action look like?
I think it ranges. I mean, it definitely starts with initiative. I think that somebody like myself, I'm just driven. I take initiative when something's wrong. I don't like relying on other people. And it's not that I don't trust other people. It's just that I want to try and do what I got to do to fix things or to help people or, to guide people, whatever that is, whether it's my children or my employees, or I'm a trader and I've got a lot of, I guess you can call them colleagues even, to, whatever ways I can help them. And so it's definitely a personality trait in the process that I see play out pretty much every day in my life. And it comes with a lot of lessons too. I was talking with you offline about how COVID this year has really allowed me to see how I can make change as a leader in my community, with my children, with coworkers, all the different people. Whereas, I don't know that I was able to do that as effectively beforehand, but being cooped up in an office and at home all the time, really forces you to be introspective about things. So
that's very true. And we've talked over the years about one particular leadership model that I think you exemplify, which is the conviction and action model, where we align our personal passions with the needs of our organization or the needs of our community. And I think you do that so exceptionally well because you know yourself and you care so deeply for the well-being of others. That I see you really living into that. And you're speaking about it right now. So talk with us. What are the pressing issues that you're seeing in your businesses, your organizations, and your family and your community? And how are you, in a very literal sense, tangibly stepping into that?
It's interesting you asked me that, because if you asked me that 2 weeks ago, I probably would have a different answer than what I'm about to give you now. The first thing that comes to mind is schools being closed and how that is significantly impacting the mental health of parents around America, children who are not in school, both from a socially developmental standpoint, not being able to play with their fellow classmates, and also educationally. Online learning is just not a replacement model for in-person. And so my answer to that question is, a couple of weeks ago, they closed my son's school, and it was very abrupt. And it was due to pressures from external forces, whether it was concerned teachers or parents or whatever it was. But the point is that it was kind of, the decision was taken, all of a sudden abruptly, and it kind of sent a shockwave through our community. And so we had to, quickly figure out how we're going to make this work. 2 working parents, the whole deal. So it wasn't long before I found a forum to voice my concerns about this, decision, which I A, didn't support, and B, didn't think that had grounds to be made. And so I started talking with other parents who felt as passionately as I did. And before we knew it, we had over 100 parents, 50 families or so, as part of a WhatsApp group to chat about this. And then I asked this group, I said, how can we actually have our voice heard? Because in my son's school, the PTA runs everything, and we're not part of the PTA. And so I figured out pretty quickly the 3 or 4 or 5 parents who I needed to have dialogue with in order to make this happen. So, within a period of about a week, I formed a committee. There was 4 parents, myself and 3 others that represented these 100 parents to voice our concerns about this. And we had a Zoom meeting with the board of the board of directors at my son's private school, a couple of teachers, and a couple of other faculty members to have our voice heard. And they were really taken aback because they thought that this online model was going to be a substitute for the year. And we quickly, opposed that and explained why. And so all this to say, we have another Zoom meeting coming up next week where she will allow myself to represent the entire 100 parents to have a seat at the table and to voice our concerns and explain why we think that we can go back to school in a safe way. And offline, the head of the school did tell me that she was, it wasn't about being impressed, but I got her to see things in a way, and very amicably, may I add. I don't think as a leader you really get places by, being rude or too rigorous. There's a sense of emotional intelligence
Mm-hmm.
we talk about that's really, really crucial when you're communicating with people, especially who are higher up. And so, I think that we're going to be able to have an impact on their decision making moving forward. And there's actually this Zoom call that we're having is being broadcasted to the entire school. So every parent can attend, unmute, and they'll see this dialogue play out between myself, the board of the school, and a couple of other faculty members. And I didn't ask for that role. I never wanted to play that role. I just wanted to kind of make a change and have voices be heard. But before I knew it, all these parents are like, Raj, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and I said, guys, I don't have time for this. And then they would pressure me and call me, and so before I knew it, I was having daily Zoom calls with parents and faculty members. I just had one this morning with PTA, and I never wanted to do this, but it just kind of came out, right? So that's what I was telling you before. Is it's definitely a personality trait, not even as a title. And so I'm embracing that,
Yeah.
And, not to go off topic, but I think this year has allowed me to try and figure out how better I can be a leader, not just as a member representing these families, but as a parent in this difficult time. I'm in recovery, and so how can I be a better leader with other folks in my program, that reach out to me for help, with my fellow investors and traders, my employees. I mean, I seek to try and help them. I take the initiative. And I don't know that I did that in my youth. This is something you learn as the years go by, and you make mistakes. And that's the thing about leadership, right? We talk about making mistakes and learning from them. Not getting down. I see so many people, so pessimistic, and they get knocked down and they don't get back up. But I embrace that ability, I guess I've been graced with by God to be able to do that.
Well, these are beautiful examples. And so you're really highlighting something that I think is so important, which is leadership or leadership development is a journey that we're on. And so what would you suggest for the next generation of leaders, for them to cultivate their development along this path? You mentioned emotional intelligence before. How does somebody cultivate emotional intelligence, or how would you suggest somebody cultivate other skills to have that personality trait where they feel like they can contribute to making change like you have?
Johnny, that's a tough question, man. And I don't want to sound arrogant by saying this. I think a lot of it is innate. I think the communication part can be learned. I find that I'm not even a very good communicator. I find that I'm kind of all over the place. But where I think leadership comes in and helps me out with that flaw is not just the willingness to make change, but, it's more so the decisiveness that I have, the optimism that I have, the fact that I want to embrace risk, and also embrace failure. These are things that I guess you can learn along the way, but asking the young generation to have that, it's tough in this world we live in. One of the biggest things I complain about a lot with other parents is this cancel culture. Let's just leave it at that. I feel like society's become very soft over the past 10, 15, 20 years. And that starts with the children. The children are pampered to, they're coddled. It's not like when you and I were growing up, discipline had strong roots. It resulted in lessons learned, and lessons learned resulted in better decision making as you got older. I feel like that's been kind of lost. So I think it starts real young and teaching your kids, how to do the right thing and why doing the right thing is the right thing, and having those conversations with them all the time. And I think that's so important. It's so crucial. Even though my kids are 6 and 4, and they probably have no idea what the I'm talking about when I'm talking about these topics I do every day, but at least they hear it, and that's what's kind of important for me, to try and plant those seeds now. But in this society today, people have just gotten complacent, lazy. It's the number of change makers are out there. There's no doubt about that. But I just feel like there's just too much pessimism out there, and maybe it's because of the last 4 years. If you know what I mean. That's paused that a little bit, but I believe in people being able to change and cultures being able to change and kids being able to change. And so, we'll see what happens. But I think people like yourself, me, other friends of ours, I think we have an obligation to society, to our peers, to, get them the back up when they get knocked down. And then that has a domino effect, and then they help other people. And, that's what I believe in. Maybe that's naive.
Well, I like it, and I think it's important for us to be servants and to utilize the transformational leadership approach to help people develop their ethical and moral capacity to do good in the world. So, well, Raju, thank you so much. I always allow the guest to share the last word. So what would you like to say about what the leadership is?
For me, I think it's just trying to figure out, through making mistakes, how you can improve and what you're good at and what you're not good at. When you can figure that out and you can embrace your failures and build on, how to turn those failures into successes, that's where leadership really shines, because, ego gets in the way a lot of embracing failure. And as an entrepreneur, as a trader, as a dad, all these different roles, I will tell you, there is more pleasure for me from the pain that I feel from a losing trade, or a bad experience with a manager at my business, or a fight that I get in with my spouse or my wife. There's more pleasure from learning the lesson from that than actually accomplishing something monetary wise or whatever that it is. So it really is embracing risk and failure for me. And that might not work for other people, but that works for me. And then on the other side of it, I'm very big on daily routine. A daily routine is absolutely crucial. I wake up every morning around 6:15. I have to meditate in the morning. I don't look at my phone or my financial news cycle until after that is over. I wish I exercised in the morning. I just can't bring myself to do that. But 15 to 20 minutes of meditation is working right now. But setting myself up that way, getting up before anybody in my house gets up, getting to work before anybody gets here, having the time to have clarity, that is essential for me. And I really strongly encourage folks out there who are looking for more leadership in their life to develop a daily routine. And, in the moments of quiet is when I get most of my thinking done and my best decisions too. As a trader, even, right after I'm done meditating is when I start to get these thoughts that come in my head that I'm not able to do during the day when external forces are kicking me in the ass all day. Phone's ringing off the hook, emails coming in, my kids calling me on Zoom to help with classwork at home. It's constant external forces. So it's a long-winded answer, but that's my take on that. So thank you for having me. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Thank you so very much. Really appreciate it. And look forward to continuing the conversation.
All right, man. Have a good one, brother.
You too. Thanks for joining this conversation on what the leadership is. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to check out leadershiptrainer.org for all of your leadership training, programming, and resources.